In this video, we are going to be focusing on the lymphatic system. When we say the lymphatic system is simply a network of tissues and organs that helps to remove toxins, waste and other unwanted material from the body. The lymphatic system is a part of circulatory system and it is a crucial component of immune system. It consists of a network of lymphatic vessels that carry a clear fluid called the lymph. The basic component of the lymphatic system are the lymph vessels, lymph nodes, lymphoid organs. The thymus, tonsils, spleen, lymphoid nodes are the examples of lymphoid organs. The lymphatic system are responsible for fluid balance, fat absorption, and immune response. In terms of fluid balance, the lymphatic system collects excess fluid from the tissues and returns to the bloodstream, preventing tissue swelling. The lymphatic system also absorbs fats and fat-soluble vitamins from the digestive system and transport them into the bloodstream. The last but not the least, which is the immune response, the lymphatic system produces and transports white blood cells, particularly lymphocytes, which are critical immune defenses. Lymphadenopathy, lymphedema, lymphoma are common lymphatic system disorders. Lymphedema is simply swelling in arms or legs. Notice that in rare circumstances or condition, it affects both arms and legs. It can also affect the chest wall and the abdomen. The next one is lymphadenopathy, which refers to the swelling of lymph nodes, which can also be a secondary bacterial, viral, or fungal infections. In some cases, it can also be as a result of autoimmune diseases and malignancy. Then the last one, which is lymphoma, which simply means the beginning of cancer in the lymph system. Now let's look at the operation of the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system follows four steps. The first one is the fluid collection, the lymph vessels transport, the lymph node filtration, and the last one, which is filtered lymph fluid. Pay a very close attention to what we have on the screen. What you have here is what we call the lymph. This is what we call the lymph fluid. Lymph fluid, which is a clear fluid surrounded by cells in tissues. And the next thing we have is what we call the lymph vessels. So next thing what we have is the lymph nodes. What we have in yellow here is what we call the lymph fluid also, because the lymph fluid passes from the lymph vessels. Let's go back a little bit. This is lymph fluid. The lymph fluid goes directly into the lymph vessels. It moves into the lymph nodes, and here we have the lymph fluid. Inside, these white particles is what we call the leukocyte or white blood cells. Let's call them white blood cells or immune response, something like that. And what we have in yellow, and what we have in green is what we call the pathogens. Notice that here, and they passes through the subclavian vein. So, and this is what we call the spleen. And the process that happens inside the spleen is what we call the filtration. Notice that we call this first one to be the lymph fluid. The lymph is an interstitial fluid. It's a clear fluid surrounded by cells in tissues. When there is an excess fluid, protein and waste product, they aggregate into the lymph vessels, meaning that they move from this particular direction into the lymph vessels. What happens when they move into the lymph vessels? So transportation happens at this point. The lymphatic system actually transport the lymph fluid to the lymph nodes, because this is what we call the lymph nodes. Therefore, the lymph fluid which enters the lymph vessels would aggregate also, would keep on moving from this point to the next direction, which is from the right hand side, which we have the lymph nodes. So this occurs by muscle contraction and breathing. What I'm trying to explain here is this. What moves the lymph fluid from the lymph vessels into the lymph nodes is two things. It can either be muscle contraction or breathing. When we breathe, it helps us to move the lymph fluids from the lymph vessels into the lymph nodes. At this point, what happened? The lymph nodes filtration. So at this point also, there is a filtration that happens at this point. Here also we have the filtration. Therefore, if you notice here, we said inside the spleen there is a filtration which separates the red blood cell from the pathogens. At this point, inside the lymph nodes, we also have filtration. The lymph node filters lymph fluid, trapping pathogens and activating immune response. Because here inside we have three things. We have the things that are in yellow, green, and white, which we said we have the lymph fluid, we have the leukocyte, and we have the pathogens. So at this point, they aggregate into the bloodstream. When they aggregate into the bloodstream, but notice that they pass into this bloodstream through the word subclavian vein. When they pass it through into the bloodstream, it moves from the bloodstream into the spleen. At the spleen filters the blood, removing all the red blood cells and pathogens. They also store blood cells, platelet, and immune cells. So this is it for this problem. I hope you really find it helpful. If you do, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. In this video,